I knew that.
I thought that was the greatest fact I read on both of them today.
But they thought
And
they
it's
were
right
going
there
to
in my notes because
But they thought they were going to get in trouble for it, and the record company
yes, there was a
told
lot of
them,
backlash about
they
that.
said, change your name.
Yes, there was a lot of backlash about that.
Yep.
And I wasn't really clear on exactly how long Chris Cornell had been doing this. I know Scott Weiland's been in this, doing this. And when I mean doing this, I'm not just talking about his dream in his bedroom or the garage. Actually doing this for 3 decades.
And Cornell started doing it in 1984.
So they're probably about the same.
Yeah.
Like I said, most things that I really researched, minute differences, on one or the other. So I think it just all came down to preference. Scott Weiland is an entertainer. He is an entertainer like David Lee Roth. He's a stage entertainer.
Well,
He brings a persona.
better singer than.
He brings a persona.
No.
No, than
Now-
David Lee Roth.
Okay, yeah, he's a better singer
Now-
than David Lee Roth, yes.
Chris Cornell, he is more of a musician, a lyricist, versus the entertainer.
A beautiful.
That's what I was talking about as far as...
He had heart and feeling into his songs about life he lived and things
Okay,
like that.
A very underrated guitar player.
Sam Porter has very strong opinions
Yes, he does.
against Chris Cornell.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does.
Very strong
And that's what I'm getting
opinions.
ready to touch on, like what
He doesn't
we were
sound
saying.
like a chick. He says he sounds like a chick.
You
No,
got-
no.
Wyland
got
sounds more of a
to-
chickish style than freaking Cornell does.
Porter's comments are, not a Cornell fan, can't stand his voice.
You must not like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin
He
because that's
sounds
basically what
like his-
Soundgarden was.
No, he
does.
doesn't. Chris Cornell does not sound like Black Sabbath.
He sounds
Everybody,
like
there's a million different
I would
people
say,
Musically,
that have
but-
that style.
I would,
His voice does not
I
sound
would
like
say
Black
more of a
Sabbath.
His
Prince.
last
It's a very
two-
dark.
I
His
would say
last
more
two
of a Prince
comments are, he sounds like his balls,
Balls are in a
are in a vice. I'm not a big fan of dudes that sound like chicks.
But he must like him that dresses like him because
Yeah.
Scott Weiland did all the time.
Yeah, Scott Weiland was more androgynous
Eccentric.
than...
Alright. Like I said, that goes back to Scott Weiland was a showman.
It's all your personal
He
opinion.
put that
That's
persona
what
out there.
music is.
To where Chris Cornell didn't have that persona. Chris Cornell was fine on stage with a cut-down t-shirt, some cut-off shorts, some boots, and his hair down his face.
And he started one of the greatest
I mean-
moments of music, the grunge rock era from the 90s.
Well,
He was
He
one of
was
the biggest,
part
the
of
big
them.
four.
yeah.
He was
Nirvana,
one of-
Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden.
Yep, that
And
was the big
Soundgarden was
four.
actually one of the first ones to do
Ah.
everything.
But I've said this about grunge before. It doesn't have a defining sound, so I don't consider it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
kinda.
agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
agree with Kyle
a
on that.
lot of the bands that
I
you
think they just gave
consider-
it that name.
Well, it
to
started
say
out
the
like
song.
that because of Seattle sound, but it morphed into more.
But when you talk about
talented
the
music as it went on.
90s, when you talk about the 90s, when it comes to the one-hit wonders of the 90s, they all kind of sound the same.
Yeah, they.
Every
At
generation
least-
sounds the same.
At
if you haven't
least with
noticed.
the, well, no,
That-
with the 80s one-hit wonders, a lot of them had different sounds
You're-
of different
you're
genres. But 80 or 90s grunge one-hit wonders, a lot of them sound the
At
same.
the all.
Get it. You was getting ready to say you're
No,
talking
I
off
was about to
subject.
agree with that. They had a better Jarl and the dreary songs.
And Scott
and-
Weiland mimicked Eddie Vedder in his sound when they started.
I hated all those one-hit wonder 90s bands. Hated them.
But 80s one-hit wonders, a lot of them were different sounds, different whatevers.
Like that.
You could tell the difference between them.
Yeah, I fucking hate 90s.
I mean, she hit the nail on the head right there in a lot of aspects. Saying that you could tell the difference between them, because a lot of these groups you can't tell the difference between them if you didn't know who they are.
You can't. Most of them.
I mean, they do. They all
alike.
sound the same.
I thought Stone
And I
Temple
don't
Pilots
think
sounded
that-
like Pearl Jam.
I don't
at
think
the
that he
beginning.
mimicked
That's
it.
why they got
I think he was
popular.
compared
when I
to it.
sold them the record store.
I could see arguing that with like the first 2 records, but past that, nah.
Yeah. Core and Purple
Yeah.
were very Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but past
And that was their 2 best-selling albums of all time.
yeah.
And I can tell you, this is my bottom line on how I feel about it. I love Chris Cornell's writing ability. I love it. He hits me in places with his words that I could never go there.
Especially on
But his voice is not one I'm fond of. But nothing compares. You, an example. Amazing, amazing written work. But I don't like to hear him sing it. Scott Weiland, I like to hear him as far as his voice. And he's fun to watch because he's all over the place. He's always dressed up. He reminds me of a more calm, maybe, version of an Elton John, like, stage persona. And so I like that, it's exciting. It brings something. But I would not be disappointed going and sitting and watching Chris Cornell for 4 hours either. But if I had to go by voice, I'm going to pick Scott Weiland. If I have to go by something that hits my soul, I'm going to go with Chris Cornell.
No, that part I would agree with. I mean, I love Chris, and I grew up on him and everything a little bit more, and I also grew up with Stone Temple Pilot. I remember working the record stores, and I thought Core was incredible.
I had to think really hard on how I was going to, get that meaning out there because...
But, yeah, he's got a more melodic voice, I guess, and Cornell's got more of a screaming, screechy voice and stuff like that.
And a lot of times you think that he's not hitting the notes right, and maybe he is because he made them.
Now, with what Tina's saying, though, he was better with that melodic voice when he did Audio Slave, I think, than he did when he did with Soundgarden.
Yeah.
It was kind of a little bit of different style, on the way he sung it.
Well, see, now for me, if I had to pick one of the two there, I would pick Soundgarden.
No, Audio
Versus
Slave.
Audio.
I mean, I love them both. I love Tom and his guitar a lot.
But it's all about the lyrics.
But
Audio. No, but if you
I'm more
listen
of
to
a
Audio
Soundgarden
Slave
fan.
lyrics, no.
No, just more.
Oh,
I mean, I love both of them, but I would,
No.
if I had to pick between the two, and I was forced to,
Our
I'm
band's
going to pick
saying so.
Soundgarden.
Audio
Yeah.
Slave.
So, all right.
I mean, that was just really hard for me because to watch and to hear Scott Weiland all day, to feel and connect with my soul, Chris Cornell all day.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. That's for sure.
That's my line. So
Yeah.
And I did like Scott's flamboyancy in this roundabout way, but I kind of liked Chris's just like, hey, I'm in my jeans, I'm in my shirt,
it's kind of
and
the mood.
I'm ready to play.
Well, see, that's the difference. Are you watching them, or are you listening to them?
Depends on my mood.
Exactly, because if you're watching them, yeah, Scott Weiland is way more out there, more showmanship. But if you're actually just listening to the music, I gotta go Chris Cornell.
Now, I can't throw Scott Weiland out on me saying that because he's got a couple songs that hit my soul, too.
I gotta go. He does. I love Scott Weiland, Stone Temple Pilots. I love it. But Audio Slave just hit me in my soul. And as soon as it hits me in my soul, that's the one.
I get it. I get it completely. That's why I said, I can't give you a definite, hey, I'm going Cornell all the way, hey, I'm going Weiland all the way. Because one hits my soul and one hits just what I want to.
I'm just more standing up to
Yeah.
Cornell and Soundgarden because I feel like they're one of those bands that changed my life when I was in the music business. They moved me. I love Stone Temple Pilot. I've actually met both of these guys in person. And actually, Scott was a lot nicer to meet than Chris Cornell. He was just goofy.
I can see that.
I can see that, yeah.
But since Chris Cornell's passed and we've realized a lot of the issues he has, it makes sense why he wouldn't be approachable.
But their lyrics and everything
They
make
both passed and they both finished.
yeah.
Well, I get
But-
that,
But I
two
mean,
different types of it.
if you didn't know that
It's
from
very similar.
Soundgarden's lyrics and everything, how dark and some of the weird, depressing lyrics and stuff. I mean,
And that's probably why I like Soundgarden better than I do all your stuff. Because I'm kind of dark like that.
yeah.
Aaron, man, hit the nail on the head. This is a tough versus.
You see, but I
And that's
think,
why I picked it, because I wanted to.
We want it to be
but
tough.
see, I
Hear
think
that.
Audio Slave has more depressing lyrics, so to speak.
No.
I mean, I can only think
Listen,
of one Audio Slave
no.
song off the top of my head that I know the name of it.
Listen to all of them. Listen to
Sounds
each
like
and
Stone.
no. Listen to each and every album individually.
Cochise.
That's
Well, they
no,
only-
not Cochise.
No, she's talking about songs.
Yeah, but the second album, if you listen to it, it really hits home with a lot of people because it does talk about depression and mental illness.
Have you listened to some STV lyrics?
Well, yeah.
That's why I said it. It's hard to find those differences between these two. And that's why I thought it'd be
I
great.
think
Audio
what you
Slave.
said about their styles and sounds is probably
Yeah,
probably
Sam picked it. I gotta give
kind
you
of
kudos.
kind of hits the nail on the head a little bit there, but it doesn't sway me to feel that Chris
Chris
moved me
Cornell.
way more than Scott Weiland moved me
Yeah.
over.
And I get
That's
that.
with
you know.
Temple of Dog. Oh my God. They wrote that album for Andrew Wood from Mother Love Bone that died, and it just screeches, how we miss you, and all, I mean, still say hello to heaven.
What?
I mean,
He did
oh
that
my
for
God.
Scott Weiland.
Yeah, he did sing that
You
song
know,
for Scott Weiland.
so.
Yeah, I actually had that in my notes.
And I do have to give him props. Sam did pick this because I was struggling with trying to find one that we could get some feelings out of.
Yeah. Well, let me go through a few of my things real quick because this is going way longer than I ever thought it would.
Yeah.
As always, you guys, I'm the Billboard record store owner, so I go through a few little facts that really mean a little bit more to me than most people to sway me even more on one or the other.
Besides him.
And,
Yeah.
obviously, the three bands Cornell did sold way more records than anything Scott Weiland did. That's one thing. Also, they won 3 Grammy Awards, and I could only find one for Scott Weiland, and that was with Velvet Revolver. They both had #1 records. They're, again, only Velvet Revolver. And Soundgarden's Super Unknown with Spoon Man, Black Hole Sun, and when they were big time Billboard hits as well. And like I said, it was 5 times platinum, which is pretty impressive.
I love that album.
From what I dug around with, I tried to find a list of people who ranked the singers and stuff like that. I could only find really one. It was VH1 ranked hard rock singers and their groups. I could only find Chris Cornell being ranked at number 14. I didn't see Weiland ranked at all. I thought this was kind of cool. We were talking about names of the bands and stuff. I did find out, and I kind of knew this, but I'm sure a lot of people don't know. Soundgarden was named after a wind channeling pipe sculpture that is in Seattle
Yeah.
at one of the Navy museums or something, and that's how they got their name. They took it from that. Cornell also originally played the drums for the band. He played drums on their very first album when they were called the Shimps. So that always means a lot to me when they can play other instruments and stuff, like we were talking about Flea and stuff a few weeks ago. So that's another notch in my belt on
I
that.
forgot a Scott Weiland fact that I wanted to say today because Sundays are football days.
Yeah.
Scott Weiland was a high school football quarterback who got accepted to Notre Dame and bypassed Notre Dame to be a musician.
Are you sure about that?
Yep. His dad was a Notre Dame alumni.
Well, I know they lived in Ohio.
His
And
dad
then
was
they
a
moved-
Notre Dame alumni, and it was one of the hardest conversations he had with his dad.
I did not know
that
that.
he did not want to go down the football road.
But I know they lived in Ohio, and then they moved back to California when he was getting into the band stuff. But so maybe that had something to do with it when they lived that close.
I just thought that was interesting for a Sunday, football Sunday. You know, a little tidbit.
Like I said, I got to meet both these guys. I saw Chris Cornell and Soundgarden the first time when they played with Faith No More and Voivod at Emerson, I think it was what it's called. When it was opened up back in the day in 1990, I think, or something. No, Emerson in Indianapolis, one they just redid and built, remodeled and stuff.
Okay.
That was kind of cool because it was such a small little place, and
Yeah.
I got to meet Faith No More and stuff. That was really cool. I actually got, like I said, I got to meet Scott at the fairgrounds. They opened up for Megadeth, and that's where I got to start talking to Dave Mustaine when we almost got in a fist fight backstage, which was funny. He was drunk off his ass.
Sam was telling Aaron Mann about that lineup last night at the reception, and he's seen them with the same people.
Yeah.
And her and I both are standing there like, that's a strange combination.
Yeah. I went there to see Stone Temple Pilot. I didn't give a shit about Megadeth then. I appreciate him a lot more now, but that's one of my craziest stories I've ever had.
A strange combination of a show.
I'm sitting there backstage, and he comes up to me all drunk, making fun of my Karma shirt, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "Now I know why Metallica kicked your ass out of the band," and that was probably not the best thing to say to him because he got pissed.
Well, yeah.
So, but that was fun. I just one of my favorite stories.
And Dave Mustaine had a history with Karma. He pissed all over the bathroom.
They did an in-store at the Post Road store that I ran at one time, and yeah, he walked back there, he pissed on the wall and then signed it and autographed it.
From what Jim told me, he kind of did like a pirouette and pissed all over the bathroom.
Yeah, it was still back there on the wall to this day.
And,
Slippery little sucker.
I know. Back when he was drinking, he was quite the asshole. So.
well, now he's a Trumper asshole. So.
Also, one of my greatest times I got to see Soundgarden was when they did the 1992 Lollapalooza tour with the Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, Ministry, and Ice Cube. Fucking one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life.
You were at the Lollapalooza where Clinton was.
I went to the first 4 or 5 Lollapaloozas ever.
That would have been like 94.
Yeah.
George Clinton.
Yeah, I went to I think that was, I remember I seen him there. So yeah, those were the best festivals ever, in my opinion, that I lived through at least. Of course, Chris died. They found him by suicide hanging at the MGM Grand in Detroit, Michigan. They have half an album done, but little Miss Vicky Cornell will not let the band have it and finish the album right now.
As is her right.
Yeah, that's tough for us fans, but
imagine her.
There was 8 albums by Soundgarden, 3 by Audioslave, also 1 Temple of the Dog, 5 and a bunch of compilation albums and stuff they did. Now, where is Scott? Stone Temple Pilots had 6 albums. Revolver had 2. And their first one, Contraband, was #1 on the charts as well. He was also in a band called Art of Anarchy, but that was a real weird situation where he wrote some songs and he wasn't a part of the band. And I put this down for Tina, and she's not in here.
He was the Art of Anarchy guys. They're run by 2 brothers. They were just they didn't have a singer at that point.
Right.
They did have a record prepared.
Yep.
So they basically just hired him.
You know who replaced him after this? I wrote this down for Tina, and she's not in here.
I don't know.
Scott Stapp of Creed.
Yeah.
Yeah. He replaced him for
I read that today.
Yeah.
That band sucks anyway.
No, I heard that album. It's not real bad.
I think they suck.
So, let's see.
They found him dead on his tour bus.
Yeah, I got that on here somewhere.
They found Prince dead in this.
Elevator.
Shut up.
I wonder how many.
Living in an elevator.
Hey, I told them I had this fact down. He was also in this little band called Art of Anarchy, and he did some songs, but he didn't go on tour with the band. But you know who replaced him? It was Scott Stapp's Creed.
Exactly, because Scott Stapp was supposed to be in Velvet Revolver to take over Scott Weiland's place.
And they hated each other.
Yeah, they
Also,
did not get along at all.
Toward the end of his days, Scott Weiland started his own record label called Soft Drive Records. That was in 2006. He also had his own clothing line, like I said. He was always compared to Eddie Vedder, to a bossa nova, country, indie rock
Say
sound.
that again a little louder.
You know, which he was.
Always compared to Eddie Vedder.
When he first started and his first
Compared
album.
and mimicked is two different things. I'm just correcting you.
Yeah, well.
I don't think
Mimics,
he
yeah.
mimics
I don't know.
better.
He said that.
When we worked in the record store, I was at Post Road in Washington, Karma, and that's what everyone says. And if you read a lot of articles, they always seem to say that he had that Eddie Vedder sound and all that stuff. So
No,
because Eddie Vedder,
to a point, everybody mimicked Vedder. Scott
I mean,
Stapp,
he wouldn't want to sound like Eddie Vedder.
he
No.
has to.
I mean, who doesn't want to sound?
Honestly,
Who doesn't want to sound like
Scott
Robert
Stapp
Plant?
with
Who doesn't want to
Creed.
sound like Ozzy Osbourne? I mean,
Creed is awesome. I don't
Yeah.
care what anybody
pretty much all the
says.
other stuff we've already talked about. So.
Speaking of people who think they sound like other artists, Eddie Trunk thinks Chris Jericho and Fozzy sounds like a young Ozzy Osbourne.
No,
He does not fucking sound
no,
like him.
he does not.
Well, lots of times they do say that to sell records.
I've
Hey.
heard Fozzy stuff, and no, he
Chris
don't.
Jericho sounds like Chris Jericho and Fozzy sounds like Chris Jericho doing a fucking wrestling promo. That's why that band sucks, and that dude's an asshole.
But Fozzy has been around for a while, and is
They still suck,
I know
I
they
never heard
suck,
of
but they're still going.
and that's the
And
best.
moving right along, since we're not even talking about this.
Yeah, let's get on to some other stuff.
Get on the top 10.
We're going to change the news up this time now to what we're
We're
gonna,
not going to let Mike bore you.
Yeah, I'm not going to bore you
Exactly.
anymore.
Thank you.
So we're going to go through the list of news things, and we're going to change to buzz off or hit the brakes. Basically, if we want to talk about it, we're going to hit the brakes, or we're going to buzz off because we don't care about it. And we really went so long into this other stuff, and we got two other real important
I
segments
just
to
say
go.
buzz off to everything.
So I'm not going to worry about this too much, and not go into this. All this stuff's on our page, and if you follow our pages, you're going to get all that info anyways.
Yep.
So we're going to not really tap into this so much, but there is one story I want to talk about. I thought this was the best story of the week. It was Jimmy Carter admits his son smoked pot with Willie Nelson on the roof of the White House back in the 80s, and he writes about it in his new Jimmy Carter Rock and Roll President. And he has a bunch of whole, like Bruce Springsteen and all that. But Jimmy Carter was really good friends with Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson. And when they came out, his son wanted to show him the skyline of Washington from the roof of the White House. And when we went up there, they smoked a big doobie. So
I want to smoke a big doobie with Willie Nelson.
That's the only thing that makes Jimmy Carter's presidency cool.
yeah, really.
Because other than that, it was really kind
Well,
of.
we're not going down political
Hell
road here.
no, we don't do politics on this show.
No, we don't want to do that.
No.
But that has been a long ass rumor
Well,
through decades.
Willie talked about it in his first book.
Yeah, back in like '88 or something, his autobiography, he
Yeah.
talked about it, but no one would ever back up the story. But Jimmy Carter this week in an interview said, yes, my son went up to the roof and they did smoke in the on the White House grounds, a big doobie. We always heard rumors that it was Bill Clinton or this person or that person, but it was Jimmy Carter's son.
That's
How
pretty
old?
neat.
Yeah.
How this is a different subject. But how old is Carter now?
He's in his 90s.
Yeah.
You know, and that guy still does more than almost any president there ever was. I mean,
Habitat for
for
Humanity.
humanity,
That
I
man's
mean,
out there
built
building
houses
houses.
for poor people and all that. Man, this old man still kicks it pretty well.
And Donald
He's
Trump
kicking
being
everybody's
fried
ass.
chicken.
I think he was he was a very boring and not so great president, but boy, that guy's done way more after the fact than any president ever has.
Moving on.
He just
So-
seems to be one that we can't mention at all.
Yeah, well.
We're moving
I
on
don't
because we
think-
don't do politics.
Real quick, vinyl surpassed CDs for the first time in 34 years this week. This is kind of interesting. Vinyl sold 232 million-ish or so dollars, and CDs only did 130. That's a big, huge difference there.
You know what it is?
So
Everybody wants old music on vinyl, and nobody
Well, they
wants
came
new
out-
music.
They came back out with the little record players.
yeah,
So therefore, is you're gonna get
it's
an
so
increase.
nostalgic.
Vinyl, you
And
can,
they got
Nobody
it
needs to buy a CD anymore. You can download it.
right.
You can just listen to Spotify.
Yeah, that's what we do mainly. But I mean, it's got a more of a collector baseball card
and-
kind of
yeah,
vibe
vinyl
to it.
does
Nostalgic.
have little audio nuances that CDs don't capture.
And there's just something about listening to vinyl, and I didn't realize it till I heard
Yeah.
Sam say it several times. And then I started paying attention. That cracking. You want to hear that little
It's that.
in the vinyl. You know what I'm saying? It just makes
you
it
gotta
sound
look at this. How long has
raw.
vinyl been produced? Since like the early 1900s with the Victrolas and
Yeah.
everything else.
yeah.
It's
The ones
always
you
it's
hadn't
been
seen.
Some
vinyl
older people
records
are really getting a kick out of it coming back. I'm not a fan of it.
Edison-
I would rather listen to Spotify. I want to hear it right now. It sounds good. I don't want to dick around
I
flipping
want
the
the
record
old-
over. But
I
Hey.
want the old stuff on vinyl.
yeah, I like
That's
I
about
like
the only time
old
I do
stuff
not.
on vinyl.
I like to
surf
listen to like Frank
song
Sinatra
surf.
on vinyl or something like that.
You're
But,
famous for that.
yeah.
That's the only time I do not song surf.
All right, two more little things, and we'll go on to our next segments here. This was really interesting. Guitar sales went through the roof this year. They sold the most they've ever sold ever in history. Fender sold more than they ever have in history. And the Fender app that you learn, this is really wild. The app that you learn guitars and help you learn used to be 150,000 followers. Now it has 930,000 followers.
I
Because of the
People were
pandemic.
stuck at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the pandemic.
People want to learn stuff.
But that's a
New stuff.
huge increase, which
Yeah.
that's great for music. Music's not dead. You can tell. Maybe we'll get the next Clapton or the next, Eddie Van
I'm sure.
Halen or something here in the next few years.
You
Because
want to know
this
what?
happened.
I'm sure it's out there and we just don't even know.
Yeah, really.
Music and books are the only thing that ain't dead.
I
And
ain't
it
dead.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about it, music, you don't have to have a bunch of people around you to produce an album. Books, nobody needs a shit ton of people around to write a book. So during this pandemic, what's the most popular forms of entertainment? Music and books.
And
Oh
imagine
no, the
that.
Porter basement was quite entertaining during the corona.
Only if you got personal people coming over.
During a
If
train.
it ain't personal people
Can't
live,
imagine why these women.
nobody wants to hear you. So shut up.
So during a great pandemic and everything's sort, imagine that music is the best medicine. Wow, go
Yeah.
figure.
And what I
Might
say,
have caused a few deaths.
music and books.
Also you had the 50th anniversary of the Beatles breaking up. We're not going to get into that because we can talk all day about that. But just for Jackie's sake, I wanted to make sure I made the point that the Grateful Dead will release the 50th anniversary of American Beauty, a deluxe edition, next month. Also had the February 18th, 1971 concert at Capitol Theater included in it.
That's the only reason to get it.
Yep. So, alright, we're not going to do any more news because we've been
Well-
talking.
Woo!
If you've got an original copy,
We do.
Follow our
I get
pages
it.
on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and you can get all the stuff. faster than Rolling Stone spin or anybody else. All right, another new segment we got. This is going to be our fun thing of the week, and hopefully future fun. And you know, if you guys have any suggestions for maybe some weird segments or something, you know, any suggestions, send them along to me, man. I love to hear what you guys got to say. You might have a decent idea, and we might mold it into something that's incredible. I really don't think there's any bad ideas, really, you know, and you can always make something that somebody gave you, make you think of something better.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So, but this is the next segment we're going to do, and the girls I think will be really good at this. We're going to call this,
You don't even want it.
we're going to call this the bitch sessions. This is the bitch sessions.
Sessions.
So, we all get to throw a little 2 cents of some goofy, funny, whatever things we want to bitch about. And of course, where we live, we could bitch about things all day, I think.
And we told Tina before we went on the air, she's not
allowed
allowed
to
to
do this.
participate today.
Nah, no, I don't need to hear it. I gotta live with this woman. No way. So,
And I have to live with this damn man, so don't even let him give you any false ideas that he's perfect to live with. Anyways, that's my bitch.
And that's all
I'm
Tina's allowed to
done.
say.
I'm done.
all right. Well, I guarantee that won't be the last. But go ahead.
No, it won't.
Throw
Kyle,
them
you
out
got
there,
something?
Kyle. Let it rip.
Okay, I will try to do this quickly because we've gone long. My 3 bitches for today. Colored vinyl, and what I mean by that, the vinyl that isn't black. The sound quality on colored vinyl isn't that great, but because the pellets they use are substandard, and you can't see scratches on certain colors. And if you're a collector like I am and go to apps like Discogs and put in catalog your music, you can't see the serial number in the dead wax. If it's a certain color, like a muddy shit brown, like I had to struggle with the Metallica S&M too. I couldn't see the numbers of
Maybe
the
this
dead
isn't
wax.
going to be a good segment for Kyle to participate in either.
No, he
Fuck
needs to
him.
stop.
He gets passionate and he can go on and on.
And my second
Get the
bitch,
baby powder out and stop it.
my second bitch is limited vinyl re-releases. This is something that's a fad with bands like Fish. They probably have nothing to do with the choosing its limitation